I'm here today with Professor Handy to talk about Dynamics 617, the economics of human and organizational life. So Dr. Handy, why did you create this course?
Well, I created this course for a couple of reasons. One of it, in my training as an economist, I realized that it took me much later in my training to be able to apply economics to real life situation and not simply look at graphs and some math that goes along with it, which is very important if you're training to be an economist. But actually looking at things around you in real life and asking what is an economist's perspective on this was very empowering, because it's a different way, it's a different perspective, as every discipline has a different perspective of looking at the real world. Economists have a very different perspective. And I don't think you need to go through that very rigorous training if you don't want to be an economist, but you just want to learn to look at life in a different perspective than you already do. So whatever your discipline is, you've got disciplinary blinders that say you look at the world as a sociologist or an educationist or, your own field. And so I'm hoping to create naturalists, people who just are able to look at real life situations through the lens of an economist.
So what is the course about?
Well, the course is about taking different topics each week. And each week we examine a different topic, like the environment or philanthropy or crime and punishment or any topic. And I can switch sometimes topics depending on students' interest, but mostly topics that are everyday life, and see how does an economist look at, for example, philanthropy. Why do people work so hard to make money and then turn around and give it away? Doesn't it seem like a bit of a puzzle? So we look at things that are a little bit puzzling, and then we look at it from an economics perspective, and what do economists have to say about it? How do we take something that might look a little puzzling in real life or not, and see it from a different perspective? That's what I do, yeah.
So what do you hope that students take away from your course?
Well, I'd like them, first of all, this course is not for students who've got economics as a background. It's definitely not a course for them. It's for students who don't have economics as a background, as a discipline. I want them to look at life in a different way than when they came into the classroom. I don't want them to change their opinions. If they change their opinions, that's great, but that's not what I'm all about, because we don't take a particular ideology or a view of looking at things. We simply say, what does it look like when we look at the benefits and costs of something? So it's really learning how to use economic principles in the real world, to be a naturalist, to observe things around you and to say, well, how do we make meaning out of it from this one perspective? Yes.
Okay, so what will the learning experience be like? How will students learn in the classroom?
Well, they'll get a lot of readings to do, and they will be presenting every week. I'll give my presentation on the topic, and then the students will have read different materials, and not necessarily technical materials, but easily accessible to non-economists, written by economists, like the Harold Winter book that I use, which is called Trade-Offs, or Freakonomics. There are a lot of people who look at this in a naturalist way. So they will be reading non-technical stuff, or looking at the newspapers, or journal magazines, or anything that puzzles them in the topic. So if you're doing crime and punishment, they can look at, how does society deal with crime? What kind of punishments? Are they deterrents? Are they punitive? What are they like? And what is the goal of that? And then to look at current, what's going on in the real world, and see how we can look at it from a different perspective. So they will be doing presentations. If you want to know exactly, there'll be readings, presentations, they'll be doing group work. And so they will take a reading, say, on a particular topic, they'll do the reading, then they'll look in the newspapers or in their own lives. How does this make sense in their own lives? So if you look at economics of marriage, for example, or gift giving, how does it make sense in their lives? And then they can report on those. So we're just going to look at those real life experiences, and they'll have to find some of their own real life experiences, either from the news or from something they've read or something they've experienced, and bring it in their presentations.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. So today I've been talking with Professor Handy about Dynamics 617, the economics of human and organizational life.
So I'll have one last word. So please come with an open mind, willing to look at life a little bit differently than you're used to. And I hope you leave with the perspective that is in addition to yours. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you.